Special shout out to Devin French, Tennessee, for buying me a new pocket pussy. It's fucking great, dude. Thanks, man. I will think of you every time I use it. LMS, linear motor system, from also known as LMT, linear motor technology, from T.C.O.Z, originated from T.C.O.Z. Come to find out, it cannot be patented. The variable winding coil, like this. See? It's different than what Tilo would call non-linear. Standard. Awesome. Requires lots of more motor force, and is actually a compromise on motor force. But we got one going here. This one is still got the screens on it. Uses the QCA. The QCA only uses 3 bolts, and so I use the other 3 bolts to position this down to a quad stack GONZO Jr motor as a jig. And I've already modeled it up. I already did the epoxy. We're using the original T.C.O.Z 3 HP spider, and this version of the coil is single 3 ohm, and I think it had some winding issues when we recovered it, and then I just pulled off a little bit so that it would have room, and then I marked it positive. That's how it's positive. And then what we're going to do is double up the leads on each side, which should give it a little more capacity than what Tilo originally designed. And then we'll do 1 4-gauge terminal on each side. I think the trick on these, because he wanted, the client wants to use a aluminum cone that he sent. Let's see if it's the T.C.O.Z or the Audio Pulse one. So I'll have links in the description to the old websites. This was the shit back in like 07. Here's the adapter. And it's the Audio Pulse one. Okay. So I imported like 100 of these one time. There is difficulty with the surround. Sometimes it gets a little rotted. We are importing, in fact I just did this with the new the 8-inch from Cicada Audio. I brought them in a sample. Let me see if I can find it over here. There it is. I brought them in a sample of this one. This is the original honeycomb cone from T.C.O.Z that was used on the Lightning Audio Storm Series. And the shape of the roll isn't so significant, even though it is nice. It's the material. So this is over 20 years old, and it's very durable. It should be dry rot. It's been sitting out here in the warehouse forever. And it's from like 2002, so it's over 20 years old, and it's still alive and kicking, so that's what I recommend. We're going to get some cones eventually made from that stuff, and then that'll be part of the MAC system, Modular Audio Concepts and Kinetics, MACK, to where you can pick your frame color, your cone, your motor, you know, all that stuff. It'll all be modular. It'll all be online. You'll be able to pick it and choose at it and jerk off to it 5 times, and then see if you can get a hotter sub to jack off to, and all that kind of stuff, whatever. So the trick on these cones, though, is prep. So this one is a recovered coil, so it's a little more difficult. It'll take a little more time, but it's still doable. And then let me show you. Let me go grab that adapter. So on these adapters, this is just a stamped piece of aluminum. It's very fragile. These are just speaker parts. They're not supposed to be like a tank or anything like that. And so what we're going to do is, this goes on the inside. And so we want to prep this surface right here and this surface to bond. And what I'll do is I'll coat both sides and then flip it over to let it settle. That way if there's a leak, which it doesn't fit super tight, so I might even put some yarn in there to help kind of bond it, give it just a little something else, and keep it up from leaking. Again, the difficult part, let me get to that part, is getting the spacing right. So let me put this down real quick, hang on. In case you're wondering, the background music is from Klur, K-L-U-R, and I'll put the track on the description. They put a mix that I heard on serious chill, and you can pick it as a song. It's like a 60-minute chill sesh on SoundCloud. So, but anyways, put that in there, and then you see where this sits. So it's pretty close, but it's not close enough. See, so what we want to do is trim a 1/4 inch off of this part. So we'll go 1/4 inch down. What I'll do is I'll come from the bottom up to measure, because the top looks a little rough. It's you don't want to base your measurements on that. So we'll come from the bottom, cut about a 1/4 inch all the way around, and then the other thing you want to do is prep this surface, and you also want to prep the rubber for glue. This will get super glued, this will get epoxy, and this area about right there, you want to just lightly sand with sandpaper and make sure all the dust is gone, because that's going to bond with the epoxy. So the other thing is, I do have to pull out the bolts that were in here, because otherwise there's no way to pull the top off. So I have to pull these bolts off, this, and that one, and then it'll just be floating there as a jig. And again, it's just to position it up and down. It's not really to position it left and right, even though I'll leave the shim in there. And then when you're binding that, you want to also make sure that the surround is centered as best as possible. It doesn't really matter, because there's, again, you can see there's a little bit of float, meaning it can go all the way over here, it can go there. As long as it's aligned vertically in with the coil, it'll be fine. So you just want to kind of have it centered. And then we have a clamp ring that fits around that. Let me see right here. I like to use the fancy one, the acrylic one, when I'm dealing with this stuff. So, and then we'll glue that and clamp that down, and then we'll let the whole thing sit overnight. Then we'll pull this up, and then we will get, this is talcum powder. They put it in the molds so that it doesn't stick, and it discharges onto the surround. You just wipe it off. It's not a big deal. But we'll clean all that up with some turtle jizz. Oops, sorry, focus. We'll clean all that up with some turtle jizz, and then also make sure that the logo is straight relative to the terminals being left and right, so positive, negative, like that. So that way when you put it in the box, it's not going to hit a terminal and break them. So if you do that, it'll break. So, but that's it. That's the LMS. I'll do a final follow-up video. It'll just be real short, but this is the original LMS frame with the screens. You can get the screens now from lower to base. You can get this color. This is a 2-coat powder coat. This is the original 12-inch TI frame. You can even do it with the new Phi version, or is it? Yeah, it's Phi. You can do it with the new Phi version if you want this color. It's kind of cool. It's a base coat of silver, sparkly silver, and then they do what's called a translucent red, and it gives it this kind of, I call it Optimus Prime red, and then we have the Optimus Prime blue. At the powder coat shop, though, they call it tranny blue and tranny red. So. But, and that's it. As far as LMS goes, this is it. It's just a variable wind coil, so that when the coil reaches the end of the excursion, it has more windings to give it a little BL boost. And what that does is, instead of being like a peak on your BL, it gives it a flatter BL like that across the excursion limit. So, but what it also does is it also limits excursion. So it can't go past that 2-inch peak to peak. And so using the TI frame is actually a misnomer. You can use the 8-inch spider frames just fine. T.C.O.Z just used the 10-inch spider frames, including the LA Storm frame and the TI frame, as a selling gimmick, also to be able to charge more, because it doesn't cost any more to make these. So, but unless you're doing it like me, where I have to recover a coil and then I have to cut it and I have to do all this other stuff to it. So anyways, that was it for LMS. Thanks for watching, guys. I love you. Sorry, my sinuses are kicking in a little bit. I've been having trouble sleeping, and Ash actually went home early today because she had a headache. But I think the seasons are just changing here in Arizona. It doesn't seem like it because it's still fucking hot, but you can tell that the plants are starting to get into autumn and fall mode. Also, Nabisco launched Halloween Oreos already, so get ready for that. Anyway, here's a quick shot of the GONZO 7K. It's ready. I just got to put the cap on it, pass testing, and then we'll unbolt it and ship that off. But other than that, I got some more videos coming, and also the reviews for the recoil amp. So I love you guys. Talk to you later.